Hey everyone! I just thought I would make a video and encourage you guys to think about what you're grateful for, especially during this time of quarantine or stay-at-home orders, shelter-in-place orders, where we can feel really isolated. I know that it's really difficult for people when they feel like they're not able to connect with others, and it's hard to keep your spirits up. It's difficult. And I certainly don't want to minimize any of the suffering that some are enduring right now. I know that some of my friends have lost loved ones, which is really hard. And there are a lot of people who are working night and day, medical staff, hospital workers, grocery store workers, drugstore employees. They're putting their lives at risk by dealing with the general public every day. And I'm really grateful for that. But I know that it's not easy. And I know that there are other people who have lost their jobs. And that's also something I'm thinking about and just hoping that we can somehow get a swift resolution to. But for our overall mental health, it's always good to think about gratitude and what you're grateful for. I know that the science shows that being grateful can actually rewire your brain for the better. So I actually got this request from a colleague to do this video, and I'll share that story with you. On the outside of my door in my office at work, I have something that looks like this hanging on the right. It's a gratitude tree. And the idea is that you write on each leaf one thing that you're grateful for. So I have a little marker also taped to my door, and some of my colleagues and some of my students have written down different things that they're grateful for. And so my colleague requested that I do a video version of that, which I thought was such a good idea because we could all use a little positivity. So I'm just going to walk you through some of the things that I am grateful for via sharing some of my photographs. So the first one is of our dog Max. He is our latest rescue, and he's about 4 years old. He came from a tiny island in the Caribbean called St. Eustatius. And during Hurricane Irma, about, I think it was 3 years ago, he was returned to the shelter, and he was taken to a neighboring island called St. Martin. From there, he was flown to Miami, which is actually my hometown. And from Miami, he was flown up to Washington, D.C. And I was fostering for an animal rescue organization called Lucky Dog Animal Rescue. And I went to pick him up from a doggy daycare. He was staying there temporarily, and I was informed that he was feeling overwhelmed by the other dogs in the doggy daycare. And I related to that as an introvert. So I offered to go pick him up and bring him to my house. And after he came and stayed for the first night, we decided that he's staying and he is no longer up for adoption or available for adoption. So this is Nina. She's our first rescue. So she's around 8 years old, and we got her when she was around 1. And she was surrendered to a shelter in Ohio, and a very kind woman saw her tied to the door of a shelter early in the morning and took her and brought her back to Maryland and put her up for adoption. And that's how we found her. And she's very sweet and really, really smart. A little too smart for her own good sometimes. This is Bosco. Poor Bosco. He is our second rescue. And when we saw him at the shelter, he was picked up as a stray and surrendered to the shelter. And when we saw him there with only one eye, as you can see, his right eye is not there, we decided that he was definitely the one that we wanted to adopt. And in this photo, you see that his left eye is really red. He actually ended up getting an infection in that eye and had to have that one removed as well. So now he's completely blind, but he gets around just fine. And he's about 12 years old, and he's grumpy, but still lovable. And yeah, those are our fur babies. So one of the things I love about nature are all the different colors that naturally exist. And I've been taking lots of walks lately, as I'm sure many of you have too. And I came across these tiny, tiny little flowers on my walks. And this is my favorite color. I would describe it, I guess, as a periwinkle, maybe? Lavender, purplish. And I posted this photo on my Instagram, and my cousin actually told me the name of these. I didn't know what they were called. And she said that they're called the Sorcerer's Violet, which I thought was so cool. It just, in my mind, made me think of medieval England or something. But I love the color of that. And I love trees. I've always felt calm around trees and greenery. And this is a tree in a park behind my house. And this is just when these flowers started to bloom, and I liked the really bright pink color. And it's amazing to me how trees regenerate every spring, regardless of what happened the winter before. The flowers always bloom, and they're just so beautiful. This is the same tree about 2.5 weeks after the previous photo. So you can see how pretty this pale pink color is. And what I like about this photo too is that the deep blue of the sky, I don't know, blues always make me feel calm. So I love that. So this is a photograph I took in Miami, which, as I mentioned, is my hometown. We were there over the summer and we're staying on the beach. And I went out onto the balcony at night, and the moon was just so stunning, and the way that the light from the moon was reflecting in the water I thought was just very beautiful. So I took this photo, and I think looking up and just seeing the moon and the stars is always awe-inspiring. And just, I don't know, there's something about just the mystery of what's going on up there so far away, up in space. And again, just, I don't know, amazing that men have been on the moon, and that if you look at the moon on a really clear night, you can actually see some of the craters, and it just makes me think about what else is out there that we don't know about. So this is a sculpture. So art is one of the things that I'm grateful for. The fact that people use their creativity to make things that are beautiful and that last for many generations is something that I am grateful for. And I've always loved religious iconography, and this is part of a sculpture that I saw in the Victoria and Albert Museum in London last summer. And that's, of course, the Virgin Mary. And again, the blues just make me feel really calm. And just all the angels. And it's just amazing to me that people can, or that, artists can be so painstaking in their detail and create these amazing sculptures. So that's something that I like to look at, just different types of art, different mediums. Also books, of course. The idea that people share their thoughts and creativity, and that we're able to get a glimpse into what life was like hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and just, what society was like, and the kinds of problems that people were dealing with back then. It just makes me feel like we're all bound by a common thread. And so books, of course, can be therapeutic, and is something that I am grateful for. Grateful that I am literate and know how to read and can enjoy so many different kinds of books. So this is a sunset. Who doesn't love a gorgeous sunset? This photograph was taken over the summer. This is actually in Northern Ireland, in Belfast. And this was taken just after 10 p.m. And we were on a ferry, and we were standing on the deck of the ferry, just amazed that it was so late, yet the sun was just setting with these beautiful, just orangey, pinkish colors. I just thought it was really pretty. One of my favorite photos from that trip. And lastly, I'm, of course, really grateful for my work, for the fact that I can hopefully be a positive influence to people and to be of service to others, to help others reach their goals, is something that I'm really grateful for, and that's my office. I'm grateful that I have an office with a window, and that I'm able to just hopefully spread positivity and share things that I am passionate about. I think that's important, that we're able to share things with each other. So I would love to hear what you are grateful for, and hopefully we can all share the things that we love with each other and the things that we're passionate about, and maybe that'll help us get through these next several months, whatever they may bring. So thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to reading your comments.